Hello and welcome. In this episode, we're going to talk about 1 John chapter 5 and how we can know that we have eternal life. It's one of my favorite chapters when I was a new Christian. And it tells you things like, you know, um, how can you be born again? How can we know that we love God? How can we know that we're Christians? You know, how can we stop sinning? All right. So all these different things, it's answered in this one chapter. So let's enjoy and let's keep learning together. 1 John chapter 5, 5:1. Whoever believes that Jesus is the Christ has been born of God. Whoever loves the Father also loves the child who is born of him. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. For this is loving God, that we keep his commandments. His commandments are not grievous. For whatever is born of God overcomes the world. This is the victory that has overcome the world, your faith. Who is he who overcomes the world? But he who believes that Jesus is the Son of God. This is he who came by water and blood, Jesus Christ, not with the water only, but with the water and the blood. It is the Spirit who testifies, because the Spirit is the truth. For there are three who testify: the Spirit, the water, and the blood, and the three agree as one. If we receive the witness of men, the witness of God is greater, for this is God's testimony, which he has testified concerning his Son. He who believes in the Son of God has the testimony in himself. He who doesn't believe God has made him a liar, because he has not believed in the testimony that God has given concerning his Son. The testimony is this, that God gave to us eternal life, and this life is in his Son. He who has the Son has the life. He who doesn't have God's Son doesn't have the life. These things I have written to you who believe in the name of the Son of God, that you may know that you have eternal life, and that you may continue to believe in the name of the Son of God. This is the boldness which we have toward him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he listens to us. And if we know that he listens to us, whatever we ask, we know that we have the petitions which we have asked of him. If anyone sees his brother sinning a sin not leading to death, he shall ask, and God will give him life for those who sin, not leading to death. There is a sin leading to death. I don't say that he should make a request concerning this. All unrighteousness is sin, and there is a sin not leading to death. We know that whoever is born of God doesn't sin, but he who is born of God keeps himself, and the evil one doesn't touch him. We know that we are of God, and the whole world lies in the power of the evil one. We know that the Son of God has come and has given us an understanding, that we know him who is true, and we are in him who is true, in his Son Jesus Christ. This is the true God and eternal life. Little children, keep yourselves from idols. May God add blessing on the reading of his word. All right, so what do we learn from 1 John chapter 5? Well, in verse 1, it says, whoever believes that Jesus is the Christ has been born of God. Then it says, whoever loves the Father also loves the child who is born of him. I think that's talking about Jesus. So in those two, in that one verse, you know, we know how to be a Christian. We have to believe that Jesus is the Christ. Then we have to love Jesus. Then it says, well, how do we know that we love our brothers and sisters and our neighbors and our family? Well, it says when we love God and keep his commandments. So, for this is loving God, that we keep his commandments. Fascinating, that shows love for God by doing what he asks us to do. It's not by, precious words and fancy prayers and doing all this stuff for him. It's doing what he wants to, what he wants us to do, you know? Um, so then it talks about a little overcoming the world. And then it says that, where is it here? Where'd it go? This is how we know that we can be Christians. Yeah, in verse 13. Well, actually, before that, in verse, you know, 10 through 12, it talks about that. He who believes in the Son of God has the testimony in itself. He who doesn't believe God has made him a liar. But all these things about belief in God. And in verse 12, he who has the Son has the life. He who doesn't have God's Son doesn't have the life. So eternal life is wrapped up in God's Son, Jesus. And then this famous verse, these things I have written to you who believe in the name of the Son of God, that you may know that you have eternal life, and that you may continue to believe in the name of the Son of God. So we can know that we have eternal life. And then, how do you stop sinning? In verse 18, it says, we know that whoever is born of God doesn't sin, but he who was born of God keeps himself, and the evil one doesn't touch him. So how do you stop from sinning? You'd be born again. You'd be born of God and you follow God's commandments. Verse 20 is really stuck with me. We know that the Son of God has come and has given us understanding, that we may know him who is true. And we are in him who is true, in his Son, Jesus Christ. This is the true God and eternal life. So let's keep learning together. Let's keep seeking together.